welcome to another episode of That's Absurd. Please
Eradicate? This is our new murder podcast.
When the robots take over. That's absurd. Please eradicate. And
That
it's
is
just
absurd.
like
Eradicate.
no silliness allowed in the future. But not today. Today there will be silliness. And science. It's a science comedy podcast where we take silly, ridiculous, absurd questions from you, the listeners, or each other, or guest hosts,
Or murderous robots.
murderous robots, strangers in the street, what have you.
We're not picky.
And no, the standards here are low. And then we actually try and find an answer. I am one half of the murder robot comedy duo, Julian Huguet.
And I am the other half. And I feel like if I were a robot, I would be one of the vacuum robots. I don't know why. They just feel that's what it feels like.
Murder Roomba.
Honestly? Yeah. Yes. Murder Roomba.
Murder Roomba.
Murder Roomba. Hard to say. Hard to avoid.
It is. Unless, can you roll your R? You know, murder
Murder
Roomba.
Roomba. Yeah, of course I can roll my R. Yes. I'm Latino.
And it's
We
kind
learn
of
it
festive.
when we're little.
Murder Roomba.
Murder robot.
Well, welcome. So, in case you've never listened before and somehow you've made it through the first 2 minutes, this is a show, like I said, we take questions, we try and find whatever answer may be, like that's as scientifically backed up and as, concrete as we can make it, which sometimes is a bit of a challenge. And kicking us off this week, Trace, you're up first. What was your question?
Yeah, this week I've got a question from Michael, who sent it to us via Spotify, which, by the way, now has comments, apparently, so I'm going to have to go through and read all those. Thank you for people who have left comments. I am seeing them, and I'm trying to reply to them as quickly as I can. But Michael sent it to us there, and he asks, how would society have evolved if we all had double jump? Yeah, and I thought, this is fascinating and totally a Julian question, so I'm gonna take it.
It is, but you know what it always makes me think of?
I don't, tell me.
Years ago, I remember, I have like kind of a broader question, Trace, and that is like, why is it so easy for really awful, bad, incorrect facts to go viral on the internet and for people to share them, but it's so difficult for like real, amazing, interesting things to also get spread around? Because I remember seeing a post that was being shared a lot, and one of the like fun facts it had was like, oh, the atmosphere on Saturn is so thick that you could double jump, or Jupiter or whatever. Either way, it's not true. It doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
And people shared it uncritically, and it made me insane because I was like, that's not true, and how would that even work? And so forever since then, the double jump thing has been associated in my brain with this incorrect fact. And I also like just want to know how it would even work in the first place.
Well, guess what? We're going to get there.
Okay, good. You looked into that.
I looked into it. I mean, that's literally what Michael has me.
It's kind of the foundation.
Yeah.
Before you can make that second leap on how it would change society, you have to make that first leap.
I understand what you're saying.
On how it would work.
Woohoo! You know, that one. You need that. That's the one we want to do. The backflippy, slow as well. Yeah. So please hire us for all of your Mario needs.
Yeah. If Charles Martinet is busy, or Chris Pratt, since there's two Mario voice actors.
Now that I live in the Northeast, it's apparently Mario, but I don't believe that. Anyway, Julian, you have hinted at it here, and for the audience members who may not know, and maybe don't play video games, what is double jump?
So double jumping is a trope in video games where your character can leap off the ground, as a normal existing being might.
Yes.
And then, off of nothing whatsoever, just because the person controlling this character pressed a button a second time, they leap even higher.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Jump. Yeah.
And we all accepted this uncritically in our games, and we were like, cool, now I can reach the secret platform or whatever, and then thought nothing else of it. But yeah, it's a trope in video games. It's so common, especially in platformers, where getting from one platform to another is the entire gameplay.
Yes, great. That's a great explanation. How I wrote it was, it's a double jump. It's a common game mechanic where you would jump by hitting a button and then jump again from an arbitrary spot in space beginning a second and independent jump arc. Sometimes there's a rocket booster mechanic or some other animation. Most people equate this with like Mario games because it's very common there, but it's a purely virtual game mechanic common in side-scrolling and platforming. So let's go with a bit of video game history. Polygon's 2014 article, Rise of the Jump, categorizes where this came from, which I thought was really neat. So in 1981, Nintendo released Donkey Kong. Hugely successful game at the time. It was an arcade hit. They actually had it at my dentist's office growing up. He had an old arcade cabinet of just Donkey Kong.
That's so much better than old magazines. That's way cooler.
Oh, it was awesome. We had Donkey Kong, we had the Pleiades, and then we had another one where I can't remember. It was like a asteroid or like alien defense kind of game. But it was super fun. And I got really good at Donkey Kong. But Polygon said that Donkey Kong was the first game ever to feature a jump mechanic. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yes, and you know what Mario's name in it is?
I did know this at one point.
It's literally Jumpman.
Jumpman. Oh, that's right. Because it says on the game cabinet, it says Jumpman on it. Like, it tells you the characters. Because it's kind of Mario and the Princess and then Donkey Kong. But it's not actually Mario, the Princess, and Donkey Kong because that wasn't a thing yet.
Mario's not a thing yet. Mario's not, this is Donkey Kong's world, and Mario is an interloper.
He's just a guy in Donkey Kong's world who jumps, so he's a jump guy, jump man. Let's call him that. Paku Paku, means pucked man. I don't know.
Yeah, because of his mouth flapping. Yeah, thanks, Scott Pilgrim.
That's obviously a fact. Anyway, so you hit a button, and no matter how long you hit the button in Donkey Kong, you can hit the button for just a fraction of a second, you can hit the button and hold it down. No matter how many times you hit it, Jumpman jumps the exact same amount of distance and the exact same height. And I had to double check that because it felt like not right after playing a lot of Donkey Kong, but that's what it is. It's literally in the game, it just codes jump, and that moves the character up and over an obstacle. Polygon talked to a professor of psychology at the University of Rochester and co-author of the book Glued to Games, named Richard Ryan. And the jump was introed because, quote, in some early games when characters could not, for example, jump over a log or pass over a short hurdle, it was a real disruption in narrative and immersion. And games are art, they're storytelling, and so this was a way that they could add kind of flexibility into the game. And I remember those early games on like Commodore and Atari where there was no jumping and you just like walked around in a game space. And it was frustrating that you couldn't jump. Double jump first appeared in, do you know this, Julian? Because I didn't know this.
No, I don't.
But I didn't know any of this because I like video games, but I'm not as nerdy about them as some people. So it was really fun to learn. Dragon Buster in 1985. So 4 years after Jumpman.
Never even heard of Dragon Buster.
I don't think it was a particularly popular game, but the main character, Clovis, had a sword and was like, going to go fight a dragon and could double jump. So it would jump, hit the button, and jump again off of nothing. And Clovis could attack with a sword while jumping. And that was the first time double jump appeared in a game. And then in 1985, Super Mario Brothers, the famous Mario game, comes out, the platformer side-scroller where you could hold the button and actually jump longer or higher, and that was pretty cool. And from there, all the mechanics that were just mentioned, jumping, how to jump, how far you jump, they all start copying each other and duplicating throughout games. And double jump was adopted in all sorts of games. I went on like a hunt to see what people remember seeing it for the first time, because there are lots of different people talking about this on like Reddit and different forums. And they said they first saw it in things like Castlevania, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Team Fortress 2, of course, has a double jump mechanic, so for the younger people, that might have been the first time they saw it. I remember seeing it in, like, Super Metroid, maybe, and Vector Man, which was a really bad game, but Super Smash Brothers, of course, where it was most used. Where do you remember first seeing double jump? Was it?
Oh, man. I don't think I was, like, cognizant of a specific moment playing games growing up. Like, I think it was just introduced at some point in, like, maybe Super Mario 64 or something, and I, like, didn't even think twice about it. I'm like, oh, cool, now,
I can jump twice.
A cooler jump mechanic,
that's
like
fun.
a little more spice. Like, they got real creative with how Mario could move around in those 3D platformer days. Yeah, it was just like, oh, cool, another thing. And I did not recognize it as like, this is the first time I've seen a double jump.
Yeah. I remember And I don't know if the people in our audience that don't play video games are bored, and I hope you're not, because this is really interesting stuff, because it's about art and storytelling. And people don't normally talk about games that way outside of the games world, like the people who cover and talk about games, but they really are art and storytelling combined. And so adding this mechanic doesn't actually make logical sense, but it doesn't have to, because this is an art system. And so at its basic level, in the real world, outside of games, jumping is pretty well understood. You learn it when you are very young. You know, in the like toddler era of your life, you've learned to jump. You've learned to push yourself off of the ground and go against gravity. But in games, if you're not used to games and you hit the jump button, I remember like just holding it down and being like, jump, jump, you know, like you don't really think, yeah, just get over this barrel into Donkey Kong at my dentist before I have to go get my mouth numbed and my braces tightened. But, you know, it didn't make a lot of sense that there would be a double jump, and it doesn't have to make sense. In reality, okay, so let's take out a game space and come into meat space out of the Tron machine, and we've got jumping. So again, you're pushing against a surface, and then pushing with the force of your muscles and defying gravity, as Idina Menzel would say, for like a minute or two. And defying gravity. And for just like fractions of a second. And you can do it over and over and over again. I said a minute or two. Wow, that would be quite a jump. The perfectly hard surfaces translate jump inputs pretty well. Spongy surfaces could help you jump higher, depending. If you had less gravity, you could jump higher or further or longer. If you think astronauts on the moon, they were limited by their EVA suits, but they could jump, you know, pretty far and kind of skip and jump while they were going.
They found it more efficient, right, to actually do like a little bunny hop all over the moon.
And kind of hop around. And so when you're jumping, you are experiencing Newton's third law of motion in action, right? Like, you personally are like, oh, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So you push on the earth and it pushes back, and you push up into the air. Very simple.
Right.
That said, you know, the other two laws of motion are also involved. You know, a body will remain in motion unless acted on by an outside force for the first law, and then the other is the sum of all forces will create an acceleration. Force equals mass times acceleration, or F over mass equals A. So force of jump over mass of U equals acceleration of jump. And those are all in play. Any idea what the best jumping organism is in the world? And we're coming back to Michael's question. We're going to get there.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say that it's probably very small.
Yeah, definitely. But why are you saying it's very small? Just out of curiosity. Like, I know I love your brain, so tell me.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it's like a lot less mass, but like the force needed to propel it, you know, is gonna shrink a lot. But like the ability of this organism to create force, though, is not going to scale proportionally, so it's going to be like relatively very strong for its body size.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going to also cover like many more body lengths easily.
Yeah.
So you have things like jumping spiders, which I used to have a pet one, and it was awesome because it would just like shoot across the tank, like, you know, 10 times its body length or something, to like nail a little fruit fly on the other side of the tank. It was the coolest thing ever, but it also looked so effortless and so quick. Yeah. So I'm going to say something like that size, like a flea.
Yeah. Listicles, and there are many when it comes to searching about jumps. They love to tag fleas when they're talking about tiny things, you know, fleas and grasshoppers, and, you know, stuff like that.
The best jumping organism then would be a scaled down Michael Jordan. Like a shrunken, an Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's Ant-Man. It's definitely Ant-Man, right?
It's but Ant Michael Jordan.
Ant
like
Michael,
Paul Rudd.
Ant Michael Jordan, man.
Okay, what is it? What is it?
Just to be clear, other listicles tag tree frogs, big cats, kangaroos, you know, cougars and pumas, and come up a lot. But frog hoppers are the best jumpers in the world. Frog hopper.
What is a frog hopper?
Frog hopper is an insect. It's an insect. It's 150 times their body length they can jump.
Holy!
It's very far. That would be the equivalent to you jumping 600 feet in one bound, or 180 meters. pretty far. They are very small, and they can jump 70 centimeters or 28 inches. Froghoppers live on plants. They are smaller than a pencil eraser. They look pretty weird, but they evolved the ability to generate this negative pressure that feed on the xylem tubes in plants. They're like actually really cool. They can create greater than -1 megapascals, which is equivalent to sucking through a 100-meter long straw. And they can do that so they can suck the water and like the nutrients out of xylem tubes in plants. This is
cool.
Crazy cool.
Do they have like a little proboscis or something to do that?
I
like
think so, yeah. I didn't look into too much exactly how they did it, but they like burrow into the xylem and they like get it. So yeah,
and then
probably
they,
have a yep, and they just suck it real strong. They suck it. And then they're like, suck it, every other insect, because I can jump further than you. Suck it.
Yeah, so they just like shoot off into the distance, like
into the sunset.
Raising inappropriate hand gestures on all 6 little limbs.
All right, so how they do it, which is pretty cool. They got little spikes on their feet, so they anchor their feet into the leaves that they jump off of with these little spikes. They tested them on glass, and they like lose control when they jump. They need the little, get in there.
Power.
Yeah,
that's their kryptonite. Smooth surface.
Smooth surfaces. Dang it.
My only weakness. Okay, so they anchor their little feet in there.
When they want to jump, they have muscles in their legs, and they like pull the legs under their body, and they literally lock them in onto their exoskeleton. And they have this rubbery protein called resilin, so it bends their exoskeleton like a bow. And so it's like basically their legs are like crossbow bolts. So they bend them in, lock them, and then when they want to take off, they just go pew and like they pop, and off they go.
So they store a lot of energy,
a lot of potential energy,
and it sounds like their whole exoskeleton. You're saying, and like
it's really their legs, and they're so big that they like drag them around when they're trying to walk. They literally, it's their like main locomotive system is like launching themselves, and they launch at like ridiculous velocities, dude. Like less than a millisecond. Their jump is in the Guinness Book, and we know, and it's the Guinness Book, so it's so factual every time. But they wrote there, when it jumps, the insect accelerates at 4,000 meters per second, 13,000 feet per second, and overcome a G-force of more than 414 times their body weight.
That's the insect version of like going to warp speed.
Yeah.
Like everything like, blurs. Punch it.
What would be, if you were a Star Trek captain, what would be your make it so engage?
I would say
punch it.
Froghopper mode, and then clearly I'd be a very educated entomologist captain.
I think mine would be let's move.
Let's move. Okay, and then smooth jazz starts playing.
It depends on what warp speed you're gonna like. If you're going warp 7, then we're gonna get some Miles Davis is for warp 3. We're gonna get something really hot. Get some hot jazz going.
Sir, there's a Klingon battle cruiser behind us. Not now. It's getting to the good part.
Not during the solo, man. Riker's pulled out the boner, man. It's a trombone. This is a family show.
Right.
We just called ourselves boners when I played the trombone. I'm sorry.
I do know the person who plays the trombone, and they say that. So I can only assume that's canon among trombonists.
No, trombones aren't cannons. Cannon's a separate thing. I'm trying not to bring up my historical.
I've never seen a trombone. I don't know what they are.
Well,
okay,
sorry.
Continue.
So Michael asks, now that we know all this stuff about jumping and how it works and where it comes from and double jump and all of this, he asks how society would look if we had evolved double jump. Now, obviously, there's no way we can know that, right? But I think the implication here is actually more amazing, which is we live in the world, and so we evolved double jump. So it could just be magic, right? We can just double jump. We just double jump. It's magic, like a video game. But I wanted to think about the evolution of double jump. And how it would because that's going to affect how society views it. As you said in a previous episode, if we all had wings, we wouldn't use them because it would be exercise and no one would want to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I got to fly to work today.
Right. So how we double jump would change how society evolved. Because if we just could do it and it was magic, with no energy expenditure, people would be doing it all the time. So society would evolve to be taller, right? There'd be security fences and ceilings, and who knows if the ceilings would all be taller. which, by the way, because I worked at the tall ceilings mean that I can afford to heat empty space. There's a reason government buildings have tall ceilings, and it's showing off. Whereas, like, you go into a historic building that was like a average person's house, and they have low ceilings because they want to keep the heat close to the occupant, so they don't have to like heat empty space in order to heat their bodies.
I imagine, you know, like when we walk into a building with a low ceiling and low enough that you're aware of it right away, it does feel like stifling. And I imagine if you could easily double jump to that height, it would be even worse. You know, like the oppressive feeling of poverty would be even more pronounced.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. Geez. Way to bring us down into the dark realities
Sorry, that's
of
my
capitalism.
job. That's my... I said we try for comedy, but we don't always succeed, you know?
True.
Sometimes it's depressing to think that double jump would actually make you feel more aware of your poverty. Sorry.
Yeah, true. Geez, very Dante of you. You know, comedy. All of this is a comedy, depending on your perspective.
If you're depressed enough, yeah, sure. This is relatively speaking, I'm sure it's hilarious.
So I think society would have evolved if it were magic, that it would just be uncool or like illegal to double jump because anybody could do it at any point. So there'd be regulations of where you could, or there'd be people flying all over the place, you know, bumping into each other and something, you know, maybe they would just use it in sports or something. Like,
oh, sports would be so cool.
There'd be some really good jumping off walls and flipping and all sorts of cool stuff. But there's so many implications of like how the body would have to evolve. Again, it has to be magic because the body would have to evolve to absorb impacts and do all sorts of things.
Also, we talked about the mechanic of double jump is jumping off of thin air, right?
Yes.
And the problem with air is like you can't push off of it.
You can't push off of it. So let's talk a little bit about the physics of like what could actually happen. Because again, magic double jump world, less interesting, I think, than real double jump world.
Okay.
So we evolve a way to somehow boost ourselves midair and have a second jump arc. Maybe not as big as the first one because this is reality and not games. But is there a way? And I racked my brain for days. There's got to be a way to make this work. So you think of kangaroos or frogs or other jumpy animals. They got these huge legs. And there's no way to push off of air, like you very astutely said. It's almost like you understand how the world works. So the average density...
Or the atmosphere of Saturn, whoever shared that viral post that makes me so mad.
I'm going to jump off Saturn.
I don't even know how you'd get the first jump, unless you were low enough in the layers to be at like the liquid helium or hydrogen, in which case you'd be getting crushed already by the atmospheric pressure. I am turning beet red.
You really are. It's kind of great.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad at who made that.
Oh, God. If you're in the audience and you know who made it, please tell us so we can send them a strongly worded letter.
So I can send my murder Roomba after you.
Okay, so the average density of air at sea level, I think, puts this in big perspective. It's 1.2 kilograms of air per square meter. That is so light. Think of air,
spread out.
Yeah, like a very thin fluid. So birds swim through the air by flapping their wings really hard, and they're very light. Our legs don't do that, and we are not. And we could evolve to be very light, but then we would be very fragile. We could evolve to beat our wings really hard, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about evolving double jump, not flight. So I eliminated that as an option. But then I ran a few scenarios, and I thought, remember Balloon Head?
Oh, how could I forget?
What episode was that? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't even remember. It was gross.
It was the one with Ricky, wasn't it? No.
No. Ricky was farts. Ricky was farts. He was fart propelling.
Imagine if we humans had somehow a big leathery skin pouch, like a human bat wing that was like somehow drawn up by a muscle into like the bottom of our foot. You know, like a human bat wing that catches air. So it's sort of like flight, but not really. So we'd need equal and opposite mass to push against. So at 1.2 kilograms per meter squared, we'd need 67 cubic meters of air to push against. For the American listeners, that's 70,000 quarts of air. Totally makes sense. This system is totally intuitive, and you're right. We should keep using it. 70,000 quarts of air? You get it. You totally inherently understand what that means, right?
Okay.
67 meters cubed for everybody else. So this is like a parachute that comes out of your feet, right? But it
Yeah.
wouldn't really help us double jump because they'd be so heavy. It'd be this big floppy bit of skin catching 66 cubic meters of air like a parachute. So you push it out of yourself really fast, like in a fraction of a second somehow, and then you would have to push against it to be able to jump, and you probably wouldn't make it very far. So that
Yeah. Well, and
doesn't
then
really
you've got the drag immediately of this giant...
immediately. And then what do? Draw it back in again? Again,
Yeah.
there's magic involved now because there's friction, you're pushing air out of the way, and then you're sucking it back in.
We can't practically solve this problem, therefore magic. Like
Magic, yes. I looked up some physics nerds who talked about this, and they said you could generate some kind of shock wave that bounces off the ground and then pushes you back up. And they did the math, and it would require the energy equivalent of several sticks of dynamite.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like
So
a shockwave of air that's enough to force you back up.
Yeah.
I think that's
So you
the
have-
least of your problems already. Like-
Your heels have exploded, but
You know when the nuclear bomb tests have that shockwave of air that dismantles houses in the desert? So
Yeah.
use that, you know.
and you can double jump.
Yeah.
So double jumping in these
What?
societies, in the leather
Just set
pouch
off a
society.
bomb below yourself. Hey, that is very Super Metroid.
That's
if you
what-
want
yeah,
to gain
that
extra
is true.
height,
That's
you curl
true.
a little ball and then you drop a bomb
you
and then
jump up,
jump
and then you
a little
jump
bit,
up.
and then
That's-
the shockwave. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Look
the
at
first
that,
double jump that I
realism.
remember. So in these societies where it has evolved, it is very illegal to do, or probably somewhat gross. No one wants to see your calf parachutes.
your
Keep those
foot,
in
your soul parachute.
Your soul parachutes.
Yeah,
You think
you
it would
know
look
that-
like foot skin? I don't know if that's going to
Ew.
be good.
Ew.
Foot skin's very sweaty, too, so that would be something you have to deal with.
The
Anyway,
Wiki Feet pages would be so much bigger
wow,
because it'd
huge,
be like
literally.
folded foot skin,
Wide angle.
unfolded. Be like, oh my god, we caught Sydney Sweeney with her foot skin out at the beach. Ooh,
no!
she has huge foot skin.
Yeah, wow. You think people would airbrush their foot skin? There'd be like
Yeah, I
foot
do.
tune?
Yeah, get a shapelier foot parachute. Like,
Oh, jeez.
ooh, unrealistic foot skin beauty standards. We are doing the societal questions. I absolutely
Yeah.
think that would be a thing.
There would be YouTube videos with like people's foot skin and arrows and circles, and then they're like,
Yeah,
look,
yeah,
you can see the
contour.
Photoshop. That's
You
not
can-
that big.
There'd be foot skin like makeup tutorials.
There would be. Foot
There
skin
would
hair
be.
removal.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah, as a hairy person, I would get my hair removed off my foot parachute.
If you were to get a pedicure with the gals before like your bachelorette or whatever, the chairs would have to be so far apart because of the surface area of your
Of
foot
the foot
skin.
skin. It'd be gymnasium size.
It'd be huge.
So
It
big.
would be so hard to share hot goss while you're getting your petty.
Oh god.
These are
Okay.
real and important changes to society.
Society. This is what Michael wants to know. This is the hot goss he was looking for. Okay, but let's.
Shoes. Sorry.
Oh no.
They would have so much volume.
Would they have a trap door on them? So
That's
you
a
have
great question.
You have to train
Would
to
you-
push through. You know.
Would you need shoes because you'd have such a thick layer of skin? But then if you puncture it, you can't double jump. So, you know,
Yeah,
it'd be
true.
hard. You
Don't
can't
do
run
that.
on like rocky surfaces.
Or you could just like less efficiently, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in like dragon shows, the old dragons always have holes in their wings, and I'm like, what? They don't heal? Their skin doesn't heal? I don't
Nope.
understand why they have holes in their skins. Anyway, I think it just looks cool.
Does
All
look
right,
cool.
moving on from foot parachutes, or as I wrote in my notes, big leathery skin pouch. Okay. What if instead the laws of physics were somehow different, but still similar enough that you could walk around? Because that's the thing. If the air was viscous enough that you could walk around in it, but also jump off of it, those two things are somewhat mutually exclusive, except if the air is what?
I think I got there right when you were leading me to it, is a non-Newtonian fluid.
Woo, woo, woo. Yes, correct.
Yes!
However, it's interesting if the air is a non-Newtonian fluid. If we had a non-Newtonian atmosphere, that would be very difficult to work with. The society would be moving very slowly. And for audience members who may not know what that is, non-Newtonian fluid is a fluid where the viscosity of the fluid changes based on the shear forces that are acting upon it. The classic example of a non-Newtonian fluid. Oobleck.
Oobleck.
It's cornstarch
Right.
and water. You sometimes
Yeah.
use it in cooking. You'll make a slurry to add a thickening for soup or something. And if you do that, try slapping it. Slap it.
Yeah.
It will turn hard. It's incredible.
It behaves like a liquid, right, if there's not very much stress. Like, you can
shear
plunge your
forces,
hand into it, right? Well, with oobleck, you can slap it, right?
Yeah. You slap it
shear-
and it will become hard.
Shear is stress in the same plane as the liquid.
I guess that's
right?
true. You're right. Yeah.
We talked about wind shear creating tornadoes, that sort of thing, right? So, like, shear
Yeah.
is things in the same plane moving against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can, with oobleck, you can slap it and it gets all solid too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's other non-Newtonian
There's the
fluids
opposite.
that you might encounter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So there are two different types of non-Newtonian fluids. There's shear thinning and shear thickening fluid. So we're talking about the thickening one. The thinning one is like paint. You put paint in a can and it looks pretty thick and viscous, but as soon as you apply forces to it, it thins right out and runs. Blood is the same. Quicksand, right? You put force on it and it becomes less viscous. Ketchup is also shear thinning. Once you get it moving, it's going to keep moving. My pro tip, by the way, bottle of ketchup, don't hit it, don't flick it, don't just turn your hand into one of those shaker tables. Just go, it'll come right out. It'll come right out every time. It's incredible. It's 1,000 times less viscous when flowing, by the way, ketchup. Isn't that interesting?
No, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Still gross though. I'm very anti-ketchup. but
You're
that's just me.
anti-ketchup.
I am.
Wow.
I think it's gross.
That is
Sorry.
that is your most controversial thought.
I think so. I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to stir up some angry emails.
Wow. Julian, dear Julian, ketchup hater.
I just put it out there. Just threw an absolute foot bomb.
What do you hate, pasta? It's basically ketchup sauce. It's not.
I'm just gonna forward that one to my Italian friends. Be like, Tony, you handle this. Anyway,
Everything would have to move more slowly in a non-Newtonian atmosphere because we would have to be the thickening type of non-Newtonian fluid. So the faster you move, the thicker the atmosphere would feel. And the idea being, if you're going to jump off of it, you have to move really fast so that it feels solid, and then you can push off of it. The problem here, of course, is it's still not touching the ground. So there's nothing to push off of still. You're pushing it, and it's pushing on what's below it and below it, below it. So you'd really have to apply a huge amount of force to be able to turn this non-Newtonian atmosphere into it. There's also like no example in physics of a non-Newtonian atmosphere that's also breathable and also you could live in that I could find. So 60 million years ago, jumping evolved, and they did a study where they looked at ankle bones of living and extinct primates to determine jumping and when it evolved in primates. They think it has to do with leaping between trees. And so they have long ankle bones if they jump more. And so I took all of these together and I was pondering it again for days. And I finally came up with this idea that also involves non-Newtonian fluid and not ankle parachutes, but like a new kind of ankle system with longer ankle bones. So let's say we evolved a novel type of shear thickening fluid, which actually exists in nature already. Woodpeckers and other impact-heavy organisms have something in their collagen. It's called an STF, shear thickening fluid like collagen. It's in the structures of headbutting animals, in the sutures between their skulls. So when they hit, it actually makes the fluid that holds their skulls together harder. Like it increases the viscosity. It's inside of woodpecker beaks. It's a colloidal suspension of solid particles in a liquid matrix. So let's imagine some ancient primate evolved this kind of STF, shear thickening fluid like collagen. You have a sack of it somewhere in your lower trunk, not as to not limit rapid movement. If it was lower, it would get viscous as you moved more quickly. And then, of course, there'd have to be some kind of physical structure involved to get it out of your body. And I say that because imagine you had, I don't know, some kind of semi-flexible tentacle that was coated in a collagen of little cells that had a shear thickening fluid in them. Basically, you have a leg that if you put force on, it is hard, and if you put no force on, it is soft.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that. We have this weird leg that when we want to jump, we jump, and then we shoot the little leg out of our foot, and as we're coming back down, it gets hard, and then we can jump off of it again.
This is gross.
It's
this
super
is a gross
gross.
thing you're making me picture. Like little dangly noodle legs that like stiffen up on impact. It's
Let's
really
be honest,
gross
it would
to me.
be reddish pink and like kind of nasty.
Yeah, probably. Or, oh man, I'm almost imagining if you could like shoot this fluid out of you as you jumped and then put more pressure on it so like the column would stiffen.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
but like-
added a tentacle because otherwise you could really only do it once, and then the forces wouldn't stay upright, right? Unless they have some structure to either coalesce around and be held in by, or have like a tube that they live in.
Okay, so you have
that's
to,
why
you have
I
to
added
take
the
your
structure.
pogo stick with us.
Yeah, you're
But
taking your pogo stick with
Is
you.
it double jump, though, if you're really just kind of
Jumping twice.
jumping off the ground
Further up.
with a different gross tentacle leg higher up? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if that counts.
I don't even know if it would work, to be honest.
I don't know.
It's like...
I love the non-Newtonian fluid idea, either biological or just atmospheric.
Yeah.
I think the atmospheric implications would be so fascinating because, like you said, we'd have to move a lot slower, and it would mean, literally if you just go fast enough, you run into effectively a wall.
You become stuck momentarily until you stop moving, and I imagine it would... I don't know because I didn't look this up and I'm not a fluid dynamicist, but I imagine it's got some kind of relationship, right? The faster you move, the more viscous it is. It may not be a direct relationship. It could be some kind of curve that is mathematically mappable, right? Hopefully, I don't think it's logarithmic, but I don't know. And so like maybe you could walk, but if you tried to run, it would get exponentially more difficult to do so. I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
It's wild to think about, though.
Yeah, no, I imagine like it would kind of be like running through water, like how much more difficult that is, right? Even if it's not like the air doesn't become like solid, it would still be really, really hard to move through. Yeah, and then on microscopic levels, I don't know. It's also interesting to think about if it would have an effect as it dispersed like through your lungs.
Oh yeah, like microbes and also just air movement, weather movement, moisture movement. Like how would that affect life on Earth? But then I thought I solved it. I had a eureka moment.
Oh yeah?
I'm not going to tell you where I was because this is a family show, but the law of conservation of momentum is a relationship between movement, mass, and velocity. So what if at the top of your first jump, you could theoretically, say, throw a large amount of your mass down toward the ground in the opposite direction, maintaining all of the Newton's laws that needed to be maintained. You're pushing off of something. You're decreasing your mass, and thus could potentially have a second jump, like shooting a bunch of poop out your butt.
Oh, God.
Like just a big mass of poop.
We're never going to escape the curse of Ricky.
We're never gonna. This is what I call the rectacular. So, humans make 49 to 470 grams of poop every day, about a half a kilo of poop on the top end. So let's say 500. For easy math, 500 grams of poop. You're making a half kilo of poop a day. How we would have evolved? We would have had a huge poop storage system. We would have been able to store poop for like a week or two. A 70-kilogram person blowing 4 kilograms of poop out their butt all at once in a fraction of a second. It's not exactly a double jump. So I did the math. First jump, all muscle in the legs. You push yourself off the ground. And then jump number 2 would involve a reduction in mass to increase upward velocity. V1 equals M2 over V2 over M1. And you have to poop at a speed of 17.5 meters per second. For comparison, 4 kilograms is about the weight of a woman's shot put. 8.8 pounds, roughly. Michelle Carter in 2016 at the Olympics putted that shot put at 13.5 meters per second. So you'd have to poop at a speed greater than 30 miles an hour. Your butt, which would probably have evolved to be just all muscle in your rectum there, would just go boom, and out would come an Olympic shot put, and you would get an increase in velocity of 1 meter per second.
So a little bit.
Double jump. If you saved up for a week, you could just double.
It's once per week. That's totally a like getting away from predators adaptation.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought of. And I was like, this actually could have evolved. Like, yeah, sure. If there was a reason, ancient primates would have to jump into trees to get away from predators potentially. That's why they were looking at these ankle bones as jumping through limbs and stuff. So perhaps this would be a last minute, I'm going to get caught. I got to ink like an octopus and I just like jump and I
this
shoot
or die.
I got to do this. And you just boom. So ancient pros could reach higher food, could escape predators, maybe disgust said predator, get them to go away, probably would be really smelly. Cons, Ancient times, minimal. Now, modern times.
Right.
Pros, double jump is cool.
Yeah.
Cons, everything. There'd be poop everywhere. There'd be no reason to build a city with a tall ledge, because that would just be a bathroom.
Here's what I'm imagining, okay? It's spooky season, right? Much like it is now. The latest horror movies out in the theater.
Oh, no.
You go with your new date you're trying to impress. You're watching the movie. The lights are dark. The music's building. Don't go in there, Sally. Oh, no, jump scare. And half the theater launches into the air as the smell of feces overwhelms the audience.
There would just be no horror movies, I think.
And nobody's embarrassed by it. It's just like a ha ha ha, you had a crap launch maneuver.
It was amazing. Incredible. Wow. I thought maybe the society shoulder straps on the toilets, just so you could stay...
Yeah.
Very robust plumbing.
It's gonna lock you into place.
I have a feeling that we would evolve to be able to control, even though we can store 2 weeks of poop. Maybe we're pooping like once a week or something. There would be tall buildings would be perfect to poop in, because you could just gravity. It'd be fine. Just get it down there. Diarrhea could kill though. That's that's a machine gun. That's a lethal weapon.
Yep. And it would be absolute chocolate rain for those on the ground.
So yeah.
Amazing. I'm thinking about Donkey Kong and Super Mario, and I think his overalls would have to have the little butt flap.
Definitely. Classic. The classic butt flap.
I think a lot of clothes would have. I think butt flaps would be a much more common occurrence for your explosive needs. Or would we even have pants at all, right?
Why would we need them?
Why do we need them now? When you think...
Look, I'm kombucha ladying all at what? What?
Wait, what do you think
no
about?
No pants?
Is this a nudist podcast now?
Yeah, maybe. Would jumping be uncool? In the pooping one, for sure, it would either be uncool or you would try and get people to do it as a prank. Be like, ha!
Right.
They poop.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely think traditions, norms would change around the ability to double jump.
For sure.
I think there'd be something. I'm really just fixated on the poop jump.
The poop jump
right
is
now.
The best one of
the poop jump is my favorite one. Yeah, I do think it would be people would be a lot less ashamed of poop. Just saying, just thinking.
Oh, definitely, for sure. It would be much more accepted, and or probably not, because as we've talked about before, it's if you can do it, and there's always going to be some social, oh, we don't, maybe society would be rich people's houses would have very shallow stairs, and they'd be yeah, we take all these stairs all the way to the top floor every time. We have bathrooms where you have to be able to control your, a rich person's bathroom would just look like our bathroom now. It'd be I can poop anytime I want. So I'm pooping constantly because I never need this adaptation.
They never need
to hold on my poop. I poop every day.
But if you grew up on the mean streets,
Yeah. You wouldn't even have a bathroom in your house. Just be I'm gonna need to use this.
For safety. My own
Michael will not leave me alone.
Yeah.
This jumping basketball player guy keeps following me around.
this flea-sized basketball player.
So I just keep going, pow, pow. Okay, but before I wrap up, because I've already been talking too long, you mentioned Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 added triple jump. And that, I think, that one you're literally hitting the ground. So if Michael had asked about triple jump, we could have easily done, what would that do? Because it's just each jump compounds. So maybe humans would have evolved some of that elasticity that's in the frog hopper. So you just are picking up energy as you're jumping. And that society would be super cool. Volleyball would be incredible. Oh. There would be sports that basketball, but the net's upside down because jumping high would be boring. So it would be people who could get really low, get the basketball up. Or I don't know.
I think that hoops would just be way higher, honestly.
That's just because we're low jumpers. Maybe when everybody jumps high, you got to do something hard.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. But I still think the most impressive athletes would be the ones who could jump even higher.
Use their triple jump incredibly.
Like, much more than the average couch potato like you and me. And I'm glad you brought it up. After I said it, I was like, wait a minute, double jump in Mario is not, like, literally off the air like the one we've been talking about. He, like, jumps
sometimes
once,
it is.
hits the ground, jumps higher, and then hits the ground again for the triple jump and goes much, much higher on the third one.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
So how would society have changed? It sort of depends how it evolves. If it's the poop jump, it's going to change a lot. If it's the non-Newtonian jump, it's going to change a lot. If it's big leathery skin pouch jump, I don't know. I think I would pick poop jump of the three that I would want to live in, because we could hopefully control it. I think we would hopefully.
Gosh.
I don't think we would survive as a species if we were all just pooping everywhere all the time.
So gross. How do we always end up back here?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, you clean ourselves off, and we'll come back for my question.
Wahoo!
Woohoo!
Julian, give me your best dinosaur roar.
Oh, God, an asteroid! It's horrible!
Wow, that was not where I expected that to go. We're popping in before the show to tell you about I Know Dino. It's a dinosaur podcast.
You know, we think of those dinosaurs being this thing that's been dead for tens of millions of years. Even so, studying dinosaurs can still teach us stuff that is relevant to the world today.
Yeah, like climate models to help us understand global warming.
Migration patterns of dinosaur lineages, they tell us about Earth's changing continents.
We can also study dinosaur diets, what plants lived then, and maybe what animals and how they interact.
And, this is super cool, many dinosaur injuries, paleopathologies, they're the first known occurrences of diseases.
And they talk about all this kind of stuff on I Know Dino. It comes out every week with new dinosaur stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like, I hadn't heard of a lot of these, which is pretty cool.
You can find I Know Dino on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And if you found us, you can probably find them. Go check them out.
And welcome back to That's Absurd Poop On. That's Absurd, please elaborate. My name is Trace, and hopefully you're doing great. We're having a little trouble recovering from the previous segment. I'm here with Julian, and it's now his turn to talk about something spooky. Not that pooping on everything isn't kind of spooky.
Yeah, you were spoopy, and I will be spooky.
Great. Excellent.
Spooky-esque as we move into, the spooky season, really. Although we've got a Halloween show next week,
We
right?
do, next week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be
All right.
That's going to be good. That's going to be
This is going to be a little less spooky, but still kind of body horror. My question this week comes from Clarke from Calgary, and I believe Clarke sent in a message.
Hey Trace, hey Julian. Hey, I'm Clarke from Calgary, Alberta. It's really dark right now. So my question, if you took every person, every human, and I mean if you wanted to, every living thing, and just kind of smush into a really big meatball that you find on an Italian giant's plate, would it have any gravitational noticeable effect? Like, could you affect how the planet orbits, or things orbit the planet? I don't know. What would happen? Anyway, have a good night. Bye-bye. Love you guys. Bye.
I don't know. Planet. I don't know. You think of something.
I
don't know. Clarke, in the written form of Clarke's question, they wrote the classic: would it solve anything?
Would it solve anything?
Would it solve anything?
Would that solve anything? You know what it would solve, Clarke? Climate change. Not immediately, because the effects of climate change will continue long after we've been meatballed.
Okay, way to make it depressing again. But anyway, yeah.
Look, you started it. You started it.
Clarke started
I brought it.
Clarke,
Okay.
You went dark.
Clarke said it was dark. Did I mishear that?
It's Dark Clarke from Calgary.
Okay.
So Dark Clarke.
Dark Clarke.
Dark Clarke, right, asks, well, originally they came up with this idea sitting in science class, learning about, gravitational fields, wondering about that sort of thing. And then, oh gosh, I love just what Roman has done to us with the would that solve anything? The percentage of questions that
so many.
Would that solve anything tacked onto the end of it are killing me. They're so funny,
so
but it
funny.
also
We
makes
laugh every
it
time.
so much harder because, I have to think of what this could possibly solve. Okay, Clarke, I originally tackled this just thinking about humans because that was what the written question had before we got the voice note in. So let's start with that. How many humans are there on the planet? Trace.
Almost 9 billion. 8.6.
Wow, 8.6. Trace, do you have about 600 million children I don't know about?
I can't tell you that. That's classified. So wait,
Okay.
how many are there really? 9 billion too many. What is it really?
There's about 8 billion, you know.
Oh, okay, wow. Just a little off.
That's fine. You're an optimist. I mean, we're heading there. But right now, for simplicity of the math, let's just call it 8, right?
8.
The average adult male is about 70 kilograms. Average adult female is about 60, 61 kilograms. So we're going to say the average person altogether is about 65 kilograms.
Yeah, that's like 150 pounds or like...
Basically 142 pounds. Okay, so, but that's average adult, right? This 65 kilogram number. And I was like, I doubt it's going to matter that much in the grand scheme of things, but just for my own edification, I wanted to figure out, for children, what number would we use for them?
Oh, no. I didn't think of the children.
Don't
Won't someone think of
Think
the
of
children?
the children! Trace.
Oh, no.
About how much of the world population is children? And I'm going to define that as 0 to 14.
I'm going to guess 26%.
Oh, you're really close. It's 2 billion, so about a quarter, 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So about 2 billion people are under the age of 15. So presumably, you know, they're somewhere in the range between a full-grown adult and a baby, which on average, they're about 3.3 kilograms. Let's just round down and say 3.
Yeah.
I don't know the distribution of ages, you know, within the children, and, you know, the weight isn't linear, you know, when you're a little baby at first, there's a big uptick when you gain a lot of weight, like in the first several months, and then it slows down, and then, you know, you hit puberty and your weight gain goes up again because you grow a lot. To simplify all that, I'm just going to say, all right, I'll pick the number right in the middle of a full-grown adult and a little baby, and we'll say that children, the average number is 34 kilograms. Does that sound reasonable to you?
I mean, yeah, I think then we're overestimating a bit, but that's
Probably.
fine. It'd be better to overestimate when we're talking about gravity because it's going to give us a bigger effect.
Yes. And I still don't think it's going to matter that much.
Oh.
We've got 65 kilogram, 6 billion of those people, and then 2 billion 34 kilogram peoples. You add them all up, you get a total mass of humanity that's about 458 billion kilograms.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I know what you're about to do, and I'm going to beat you to the punch. It's about
no.
1,500 times as heavy as the Empire State Building. I knew you were going to do this episode. I knew you would go to that horrible website, The Measure of Things. Or 550 times as heavy as the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's very heavy. That's a lot of Golden Gate bridges.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised it weighs more than the Empire State Building, but I really have no way in my mind to quantify those things, I guess. So that makes sense.
That's why I like this website.
Or 80 times as heavy as the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow.
I'm surprised how heavy it is, right?
That's very heavy. I did not expect that.
Right. Or, for our Canadians, like Clarke, it's about 4,000 times as heavy as the CN Tower in Toronto, which is like a very pointy, needly looking structure. Okay.
That's like 35,000 times as heavy as the Brooklyn Bridge.
I hate you so much. Stop it.
That's like 4.5 million blue whales. There's not even that many blue whales.
Already went to this website. I already did all this, Trace. You can't hurt me anymore. Okay.
Great.
Okay, so we take all these people, all this massive humanity. Now we imagine it is a sphere. And Clarke specified it's a meatball, right? So that's why we're going with a sphere. I know, gross. But I'm going to take Clarke to literally mean we just bunch every person into a ball. We don't, like, literally go through the process that beef goes through.
I was picturing, what is that video game, Inside? Have you played that?
Yeah, the meat wad at the end.
The meat wad at the end, it's so weird.
Yes.
That's what I was picturing, though.
But it also came out, like, I don't know, 7 or 8
It came out
years
long
ago,
enough ago.
Yeah.
It's a great game. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Speaking of double jump, no double jump in that game.
Side-scrolling platformer, though. Super good.
Excellent. Excellent
And
game.
a puzzle game. Okay. So we shape it into a ball, but we don't go like full true meatball. We don't remove all the bones, let's say, because that's about 14% of our mass.
Yeah.
And we don't, take out organs, because it turns out in ground beef, there's no organs in there except maybe tongue or heart. According to the USDA, that's allowed in ground beef. No, we're going to take the whole of humanity, all the bits and bobs included. We're going to press them down as tight as we can go with no air in between so it forms a perfect ball.
Wow.
And we'll figure out the volume of this sphere. Phil Plait, the bad astronomer,
Love that guy.
wrote actually a very similar take on this. He imagined it as a giant cube.
Borg style.
Yeah, you will be assimilated. He used a shortcut for figuring out the volume of a typical person, right? Because he goes, well, if you're in water, you either sink slowly, or if you fill your lungs with air, you float. So
You can
your
float,
density
right.
is pretty close to that of water.
Oh,
and
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we're mostly water.
yeah, and the metric system, being designed around things that make sense, uses water as like a standard for density, right? So it's basically 1 gram per cubic centimeter or 1 kilogram per liter or 1,000 cubic centimeter, right?
Yeah.
So if our mass of humanity weighs 458 billion kilograms,
then it's easy. This is an easy calculation then.
super easy. Then it's just 458 trillion cubic centimeters.
Right.
So that's not so bad at all.
It's a lot of cubic centimeters.
Yes, it's about 200 times as big as the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Oh, wow. What a great comparison. So
you.
glad you did it.
It's about 7,500 times as big as Spaceship Earth, also known as Epcot Center.
Oh, I love Epcot Center. I miss Jeremy Irons more than, anyway.
It's about 1/9,000th as big as the Grand Canyon.
Oh.
Which means we can't
Oh my
fill
gosh!
the Grand Canyon. We'd need 9,000 times more people to fill the Grand Canyon before it would solve anything,
I was going to
Roman.
say, it clearly does not solve anything.
Does not solve anything,
Does
obviously.
not solve anything. Sorry,
Right.
Roman.
So, back to our human meatball. A sphere of that volume would have a diameter of just 956 meters, less than a kilometer across.
What?
Yes, that's it.
Let's round up and say a kilometer across. Even
Right.
that. That's small.
Or in other words, to walk around it, because the circumference would just be, pi times d, it would be about 3 kilometers to walk around it, like not even 2 miles.
Yeah.
To start at one point, walk around the great human meatball, and end up back where you started.
The great human meatball. The only wonder of the world, because no one is not in the meatball to appreciate it.
The ultimate cuddle puddle.
Ew.
Get in the meatball whether you like it or not. We're doing this for Clarke.
Oh my god, that's so gross.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Wait, is it 9? It's 900?
956 meters in diameter.
Yeah, about as long as the National Mall. Yeah, no big deal. 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers. Yeah.
Do you have any other comparisons you're
About
gonna pull out,
3/4 as long as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. About 1.5 times the Kentucky Derby.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe you didn't think of this.
Stop it, or I'm putting you in the middle of the meatball.
The middle of the meatball would not be a good place to
The
be.
worst place to be. You definitely want to be on the surface. Let's get to Clarke's question about whether it would have a noticeable gravitational effect, right? So let's assume you haven't made me angry by going to the measure of things and quoting similar numbers at me repeatedly, right? And you get to be on the outer layer of the meatball.
Yeah.
How much pull would you feel towards the center of the meatball? And let's put it out in space, free of the influence of Earth's
Sure.
gravity,
Yeah, we're assuming a lot of things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So it can hold itself together.
Yeah, interesting. This is not Little Princing, basically. It's like a Little Prince planet, where the planet is quite small and you are a normal size.
It's a Super Mario Galaxy planet where
fun.
you can
Wahoo!
Wahoo! Right, you can land on it. How much gravitational force would you feel on the surface?
I mean, very, very little.
Yeah, basically. I did the math. I plugged all these numbers into Newton's equation for universal gravitation, which is F equals the gravitational constant G times the mass of object 1, which would be Clarke at this point, times the mass of object 2, great human meatball, divided by the radius of the meatball squared, or, well, really distance to the center of the meatball squared. Any bets on what the gravitational pull would be?
Are we measuring it in like meters per second, or are we measuring it in like G's?
Let's do that. Meters per second.
Oh,
so here on Earth, it's 9.8 meters per second
like,
squared.
honestly, centimeters per second.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing. Like hard to tell. You drop something and it doesn't really go anywhere.
You would have an acceleration of 0.000133 meters per second squared, or about 0.133 millimeters per second squared.
Not even a millimeter per second.
No, like
whoa,
0.13 millimeters per second, right? Like a little more than a tenth of a millimeter. It's so slow. That is how quickly you would, float back toward the meatball if you were just a little farther away from it.
And so if there were two meatballs, they would float toward each other at double that, but still not very much.
Well, it depends on the distance, right? Because we're going
I guess it depends how far away they are. Yeah, true.
So still, it's very little. So if Clarke were on the outer part of this meatball and he wanted to achieve escape velocity, like literally just leave all of humanity behind, all Clarke would need to do is jump with a velocity of 0.357 meters per second, or for all of the non-metric heads out there, 0.8 miles per hour. You wouldn't even need to use your poop rocket. You could easily jump off the surface and never return. So, very little.
Like a toddler could jump off of it.
Yeah.
And just disappear into space. Like, I don't know, like a sloth could jump off it. I don't know if sloths jump.
The frog hoppers would never come back. They would be so shocked.
They'd be gone.
So, when we started this, Trace, did you think it was going to be anywhere near that low of a number?
I knew it was going to be low, but in my head I pictured it like, I don't know, like an asteroid. Like small moon is honestly where my head was. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, moons are still quite big, like even the small ones. I think we overestimate our own importance, like how many of us there are and how important we are. Like if it was about how much energy we use on top of all and resources and all the other stuff that humans consume, now we're back to climate change, then I think it would be a huge mass. But if it's just us, our people, the tip of the spear, there's just not that many of us relative to the bigness of things in space.
You pretty much have already figured out where I'm going to go with this.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought of this, and again, I'm trying to tackle this very broad question of, would that solve anything? The human meatball, I think the only thing it really solves is for, humans in the meatball that aren't crushed and suffocated and whatnot. You wouldn't be lonely.
I was going to say, connections.
You and 8 billion of your friends just hanging out, just meatballing out.
The greatest final hug.
But more than that, I think it's a useful thought exercise in perspective, right? We always bring up this website, The Measure of Things, because it helps us contextualize the size of things that are otherwise hard to picture. And putting all of humanity in a giant ball and kind of being disappointed with the end size had an impact on me, at least.
Yeah.
Because I started thinking about, our outsized impact on the world that we live in for something that's so small. And I actually found a study that compared the biomass of humans to the biomass of everything living on Earth. And that was another thing that was just mind-blowing. It was a 2018 study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and it used gigatons of carbon to quantify the amount of life on Earth. Gigatons of carbon doesn't take into account, the water weight of things, and it also basically ignores all the other stuff that's not carbon. If you want to get to dry weight, you would just double the number
people.
And then so gigatons of carbon wise, for all the things on Earth that are alive, there's about 550 gigatons of carbon of living organisms, which, by the way, a gigaton of carbon is a billion metric tons. So 1 trillion kilograms.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yes. So of the 550 trillion kilograms, and that's, again, not taking into account water or things that aren't carbon, how much do you think humans make up of that?
Oh, very little. 2%, 1%, less than 1%?
It's minuscule. 550 gigatons of carbon for everything. Humans are just 0.06 gigatons of carbon.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nothing. We're nothing.
That's a little bit more than just one single species of Arctic krill has about the same biomass. And that's just living up in the Arctic, being krill, getting ate by whales. All right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bacteria. All of bacteria put together. Any idea? The mass on that?
lot.
You want to put a number?
I'm going to put 1%.
It's 70 gigatons of carbon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
70.
Okay, bacteria.
Out of 550 total for everything.
Kings,
and then
queens.
The single largest contributor to all that biomass, any guesses?
Plants.
Plants
Absolutely.
by a
100%
huge
plants.
margin. 450 gigatons of carbon.
I mean, the thing is, if aliens showed up, they would see our impact on the environment, right? But if they showed up prior to humans being super dominant, prior to the Anthropocene, and they weren't thinking about intelligent life, and they were just thinking like, what planet is this? Let's categorize it with a couple words. They'd be like water and plants. Like that's what that is what this planet is. It's rocks, water, and plants. Most of the planet, even now, rocks, water, plants. That's what we are. Except how we screw it all up.
Well, yep. That's exactly where I'm going with this, because the paper also says, yeah, it's 450 gigatons of carbon is what plants contribute right now to the biomass. But before human civilization took off, it's hard to estimate, but we think it was about double that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about twice as much. So we've halved the amount of plant biomass in our time, cutting down forests, industrializing, making way for farmland, that sort of thing. It's just mind-boggling to think that we're so tiny, such a small part of this ecosystem, and we've had such a huge impact. So yeah, you were a little bit macabre and a bit of a downer when I brought up, like, initially, would this solve anything? And you're like, oh, climate change. And yeah, if you want to be real nihilistic, you might be wrong, but I'm going to choose not to think that we need to eliminate humankind from the planet to solve
I'm not one
a
of those
problem.
people. I'm not one of those people.
That's bad. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that I'm pro human beings continuing to live.
Yep. It's pretty gauche to say that humans should continue to live, but, It's
my second most controversial statement after
yeah.
I dislike ketchup, personally.
Oh, you're just bringing it back. This is a Friday news dump. You're trying to bring it back to distract. Humans should live. And also ketchup is terrible. Oh, we got to talk about the second one.
Now that you're all looking over there. No, but it's an important thing to remember that we have such a huge impact, even though we are so very small. And I got the chance to really put that in perspective again by digging into this question. And so I thank Clarke for that. It was fun to realize still just what a small meatball humanity is overall.
So just a meatball on a speck.
Yeah.
Not even as big as the Grand Canyon.
But anyway, there is your answer, Clarke. Would the human meatball have a noticeable gravitational effect?
Depends what you mean by noticeable.
Yeah, basically, but not really. It certainly wouldn't affect the Earth's orbit in a meaningful way. No, because we are just so small.
I'm just picturing
overall.
a giant meatball of humans sitting, by the edge of a lake, and a fly lazily flying by, not even really, probably smelling it, but like not even being affected gravitationally by it. It's just this big mound of disgustingness.
Yeah.
How
we would
spooky.
we would not be that big even. Yeah, it's nuts. The Phil Plait article talked about, like, if you put all of humanity in a cone shape and put it amongst a mountain range, you'd lose it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're just not.
There's just not that much of us.
Not that much.
And yet, such an outsized impact.
And that 8 billion number, too, that's fairly recent. I remember just a decade or so ago, it was 6 billion. Back in the 1940s, it was like 3 billion. Like, we've grown a lot recently, and we're still not that big in terms of biomass on this planet.
Really.
It's incredible. So, Clarke, thanks very much for your question. I hope that answered it and that you got some sleep. And when you wake up, there will be sunshine, and you can look out upon the world and know what the human meatball is doing to it and appreciate it.
Which is to say, very little in some ways and a lot in other ways.
Well, that is going to do it for this episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. This show was created, written, and produced by me, Julian Huguet.
And me, Trace Dominguez.
And produced by our own one-man human meatball and editor, Kyle Sisk.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
A man who can definitely double jump but won't tell us how. Tell us your secrets, Kyle.
Special thanks to the listeners who submitted questions featured in this episode. That would be Clarke and Michael. If you want to submit a question for us to answer, look for the form down in the show notes. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask. You can call us on the phone, 302-TAPE-SHOW, TAPESHO, and leave us a voicemail if that's your thing. You can do all sorts of stuff, and we will answer your question here on the podcast. We love your questions. Thank you for sending them. Special thanks to our new Patreon subscribers. Simon, thanks for joining since the last time we recorded. And a shout out, of course, to our absurd administrator, Les.
Thank you, Les. If you want to join the Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/that'sabsurdshow.
Or you can find it on our website, or in our social media, or here in the show notes.
You can also leave us a review wherever you're listening right now. Stars, hearts, nice words, and of course, send in those questions.
Poop emojis, whatever you want.
Meatballs.
Meatballs.
Why are
Leave
you
'em.
thinking about meatballs so much?
I'm hungry. It's dinner time.
It is. And of course, send in those questions. We've made lots of ways for you to do that to us. So please get them in. We appreciate them. They make us laugh and they make the show possible.
And finally, of course, a special thanks to those who support us via Nebula. Nebula listeners get access to ad-free versions of the episodes. They support us just by listening to the show. They don't have to do anything else. And they get access to all sorts of content on Nebula. Nebula is a creator-owned streaming service that we are a part of. Go to nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow to see how to join. And of course, as we say at the end of every single episode of That's Absurd, please elaborate.
We're all just individual human meatballs strewn across the spaghetti of life.
Is that string theory? Is that...
Yeah, actually, that's how they came up with it. That's my own personal string theory. Doused in ketchup because apparently Trace thinks it's the same thing.
They're the same thing. I'm not
Like
Italian,
a
okay? I don't know.
lunatic.
As we say at the end of every episode, if you want to escape the great human meatball, you don't need a poop rocket. You just need a jump. Just a little, just a really small jump.
As we say at the end of every episode, it's okay to poop yourself watching a horror movie on a date, okay? It happens to everybody.
Is that what that was about? You're
It's
still working through
Fine. I can't, my wife will not let that go.
that? Wow.